back, everybody, to the Star Wars podcast, where we talk all things Marvel, Star Wars, and everything in between. Please take a moment to check our show notes to find our social media, merch, and more. Today, we're recapping episode 5 of Ahsoka, titled Shadow Warrior, in full spoiler detail. So if you haven't seen the episode, I would get out of here. And I'm here with a man who just took a plunge into the ocean and has come out all dressed in white. It's Tommy Pizzullo. Tommy, how's it going?
I'm doing well, but Michael, do you hear that? Do you? It's fighting. Two people fighting outside my apartment right now.
Sound of LA traffic, just
Yeah.
It's lightsabers, right?
Yeah, that's what I like to tell myself when I hear the fireworks.
Yes.
Go off at nighttime.
Tommy, how's everything? Are you doing okay?
Doing well, yes. Having fun, enjoying the ride that we're on here in Ahsoka Land. That would be a fun theme park. Forget Star Wars Land, just Ahsoka, all Ahsoka.
Just getting rid of Batu, huh?
Just tear it down already.
All right. Well, we do have some guests here today. It is an honor to welcome back both Des and Jordan from the Two Black Nerds podcast. Guys, how's it going?
Real good. How you guys doing?
Good.
Ready to talk some Ahsoka. This has been it's been very fascinating. I feel like the opinions have been all over the place. So I'm excited to we'll start with our current reigning trivia champ, Des. Des, what have you been thinking about Ahsoka so far?
Man, to be honest, I'm enjoying myself. I kind of turned all my brain off just slightly because of recent Star Wars things that we've been given. I didn't want to think about it too hard. And so when Ahsoka was announced, of course, I was super excited. Ahsoka Tano is absolutely one of my favorite characters in this Star Wars universe. But again, because of the past couple of weird things that Star Wars has done, I had to kind of lower that expectation ever so slightly. Granted, Andor was a little different ball game. Here and there, Mandalorian is a different ball game. But overall, Star Wars had me in a little rut for a second. So given that expectation, I'm good right now. And I'm kind of having a good time. To be honest, there's some things I really, really like about this show. So we'll see if it continues to be that way.
Yeah, Jordan, I want to ask you because I feel like there was so much hype around this episode. Obviously, this was given a very limited release in theaters even. Did this particular episode hold up to what you imagined it would be?
Yeah, I would say it mostly held up. I definitely, saw all of the news and the conversation about the theatrical release. And so that naturally, I think, would get you super excited and anticipated about, oh, well, what are they going to do? It must be something big, especially, based off of the ending of last week. And I think by the end of it, I felt mostly satisfied. There was a lot of really, really good stuff, a lot of great callbacks, a lot of nostalgia that I think that they leaned into that worked out really, really well. Not everything was perfect for me, but by this point in the series, I think that they've definitely hit a stride. And so I'm totally in for, what the finale is going to be next week.
Yeah, and I echo what both of them have said. I think I keep waiting for the shoe to drop. I've been burned too many times, and I keep waiting. But so far, I'm enjoying every episode. Things are going well. In this episode, I think it was very easy for the cameo to just be a cameo, but I actually think it pushed forward a lot of themes and a lot of growth for Ahsoka that I think is going to, turn up at the end. I have a theory that I'll teasing now for later. I have a theory about this could mean more to Ahsoka than even just this episode. So.
Ooh, all right. Love the tease. Des and Jordan, you all both watched Rebels?
Okay.
Yeah, I've watched like a half a season and never finished, so I'm guilty.
Okay. No, that's fine. Well, I'm curious. I'll throw it to you, Jordan, because I feel like a lot of the conversation, and especially for this episode, I feel like was, I don't like using this word, but I truly kind of feel like this was a bit of fan service, and maybe not so much fan service as much as it was like catching up the casual viewers on some of the big events that happened in the shows. Did this episode work for you as somebody who didn't watch all of Rebels?
Yeah, it actually did, only probably because I think that this is the one episode of the series that felt like it leaned a little bit more into Clone Wars than Rebels. I think it's certainly it's certainly a successor to Rebels for sure. You know, I think all of the characters and obviously some of the storylines, the major storyline really is a carryover from Rebels, but this one clearly is pointing to stuff from Clone Wars, which I did watch all of Clone Wars, and that felt more familiar, obviously. And I think that once I saw some of those things, you know, throughout the course of the episode, some of those, you know, more specific details, I was like, oh, I didn't expect to go there, but I'm really glad that we did, because it does make it all feel a little bit more cohesive, and I think tie together really, really well, just based off of Ahsoka's journey to like where she is now that she's an adult, and we see that natural evolution and how she's really grown so much from the course of her being, you know, a little girl all the way until now being pretty much a Jedi Master.
For sure. So yeah, super excited to dive into some of like these flashbacks and whatnot. Tommy, what about? Am I crazy about the fan service thing? Did you feel any of that?
I feel like last week, the end, that was the fan service. I think this felt like there's, I don't know. I didn't feel it as much because it felt like it was justified for the story, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So I might be jumping a little ahead, but because I feel like I want to lead this podcast with my takes. And while last week I said that episode was one of my favorite Star Wars episodes of TV ever, I actually found this one to be a bit of a step down. And I think my biggest problem with it, Tommy, and we actually talked about it. We talked about, do we need a flashback? How would it work? Can it play well? And what I said then was like, if they can tie it in really well and have it mean something for the current story, I would feel better. I think my problem is like the main message of these flashbacks was like
You're muted. Yeah.
I think that messed my mic. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
You might have switched mics. I
just unplugged something. So much for not editing. Why is it doing this? Okay, somebody talk.
Hello.
Testing.
Baby.
You're a little softer now, too, by the way.
Okay, I'll just get closer.
Okay,
What did I
that's
say
bad.
last?
You were telling us that the flashback would work if it was was bringing the story. Yeah.
And I feel like the flashback, the message of it was that Ahsoka needed to continue living. And like, that was something I never really doubted. You know, does that make sense? Like, I don't know that it worked well, like that she was ever going to give up, or like, I don't know. It didn't meld together perfectly for me.
I guess, and I hear that. I do think like a big message was her living. I think there was a couple other messages in there. I think one is the idea that she was trained to be a soldier Jedi, not a peacekeeper. And I think that's going to come back at the end of this. I think she's going to be able to become the Jedi that she wants to be. And so I think the flashback is important there because it shows the wartime, and it shows that she was trained to be a certain type of Jedi. And you know, the message that Anakin talks about of, you know, this is my master and his masters, all of this is the knowledge passing down, but it really, she's missing parts of the knowledge now because she was only trained one certain way. And I think that's going to play into Sabine. I think that's going to play into the overall story of what it means to be a mentor to a mentee.
Okay, well said. Des or Jordan, do you have any comebacks to that as well?
I was thinking about one thing in terms of just like what they're trying to convey with those particular scenes, and you know, a lot of Star Wars is about legacy and lineage, and you know, who do you come from, where do you come from, all those different things. And I think that, you know, watching this particular episode, I was like, oh well, it's pretty clear to me, or at least I think just based off of like what we've seen, that, you know, Ahsoka is one that has been, you know, sort of walking a non-traditional path. You know, she doesn't really resemble anybody else. She obviously has grown up very much differently, I think, you know, to a lot of what Tommy was saying, more of a soldier really. And so being able to break away from that, I thought that was like a really cool element to this episode, to where they could just kind of focus on her forging her own path and really like actually fulfilling that. We've sort of known that and seen that throughout, you know, all of these different shows, but I think it was really crystallized here.
Okay, well, yeah, no, well said. If you guys are down, we can dive into the episode scene by scene here. And we open here on Hera searching for Ahsoka. We get a couple different things going on here. A lot of Jason in this episode, but yeah, we get the sad Hu Yang part where They should have stuck together. Very very sad. Hu Yang.
How can you hate Yang? I'm sorry. He's so sad. He's just like, man, I feel bad for these. He has emotions.
What a nice droid.
Yeah.
For real. Yeah, that's some like off podcast conversation that we've had. I think we've rivaled another podcast. Apparently, we were too high on Hu Yang. So
No, I don't think I'm high enough. Top droid. I'm saying it. Come at me.
He's pretty great. He's pretty
hilarious.
great. He's funny, caring.
Does combat skills.
He's crazy.
Yeah, Hu Yang's great, but Des, I want to ask you about the addition of Jason in this episode. I kind of thought it was weird that he was ever even on this mission in the first place, but like it's starting to like make a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
He seems pretty like in tune with the Force. He's got a lot going on. So, what do you think about Jason? Are you stoked about this character?
It's very interesting, this is like another one of those Rebels things. It's like, Kanan's offspring. What is he gonna be like? And here we are with like this Force sensitive Jason. I think it's interesting though. It does provide, I think, a different, viewpoint to this world ever so slightly, and having a kid's point of view, like, oh, what can this kid do? And I think that's always like a fun part of Star Wars is like, what can this kid do versus like what we have right now is like a very older and experienced Ahsoka. Even Sabine, even though she's a Padawan, she's been around. You know what I mean? The whole TV show that Rebels is, we know what Sabine can technically do in this moment in time. So I think it's kind of cool to get a young kid kind of just hanging out with his mom and that's Force sensitive. So it's fine right now. He didn't really get in the way of anything. I kind of do like the way they used him, I think, to find Ahsoka, but I can see Jason going left very fast, but I feel like the end of the episode retconned that. They were like, okay, you won't see much more of Jason. Just Hera was like, yeah, he can't go between, galaxies or whatever she said. I was like, yep, good. I don't think we'll see much more of him. So I think in this very limited capacity, I'm fine with it.
Man, I just get scared. It's the same thing with Grogu. I get scared when they introduce these young Jedis around this time period that might go to Luke's academy and get slaughtered. So, I don't feel great about the future of Jason.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, I just like tune out and ignore the kids a part of Star Wars. Like anytime we get kids, I'm just like, whatever. I just like really ignore them. Maybe it's just because we haven't had a great history. Maybe it's like what you just said, Michael. Like we know that it's likely not going to end well for them. But for some reason, like anytime I see a kid across any of these different shows or movies, I'm just like, you know what? I'm not even going to become invested. I don't even want to. Even if it's like a young Leia, that we saw in Obi-Wan, I'm like, okay. Whatever.
Yeah, Obi-Wan must have been really hard to watch if you start paying attention to
it. Definitely was. Yeah, by the second episode, I was like, "Ooh, we're really running with this." Okay.
Do we think Jason to have the Jason conversation? Does he come back at the end? And is there a path of I'm stuck on this mentor mentee? I'm going to hammer it down. Does he become Sabine's paladin, or a Padawan? Padawan. Does he become Ezra's Padawan? The full circle of Kanan teaching Ezra, him coming back, then him teaching Jason.
I mean, definitely. I guess the question is which path. Probably Ezra, though. I think that makes sense.
I think Ezra also makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we'll have to see. That's a good
Agreed.
question, though.
Yeah, Sabine feels like she's gonna potentially walk closer to the Mandalorian path, and I think that would just naturally have Jason gravitate towards towards Ezra.
I'm throwing out everything. Sorry, guys. Sabine, what if cameo? She's with Mando. She shows up at their place. Ahsoka, we have the connection there. Ahsoka drops her off. Is like, all right, hey, the Jedi way wasn't your way. I taught you what I can. Go here now. Learn from them.
And then he kills the armorer, or she.
Right now we're team cult because of as Mando left it, Michael. And as we said on that podcast, very loudly,
you said,
both of us.
Let's get the record straight. No, I'll give a counter theory to that because I do kind of feel like they are really kind of pushing the Sabine as a Jedi thing when they didn't have to, right? This was not a big part of or really any part of Rebels.
Right.
It's really kind of something that was built for this show, and they're really building like the Force thing with the cup, and then her later trying to use it on Shin. I just feel like there is that moment that's going to drop when she can finally use the Force, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, there's just something there that's really never been done before. With just like somebody pulls up with a Mandalorian, the whole get up on, and they also have a lightsaber. I'm ready for that, and I think Sabine can do it.
It would look cool, but 2 episodes ago she couldn't move a cup. So I need some progression to get us there to like the big ultimate moment. Like we need like one more thing at least to show some progression. If it doesn't happen this season, then maybe it comes like somewhere else down the line.
Maybe it's all leading up to the end moment when they distract Thrawn and get out of the galaxy by her throwing a cup with the Force at his head and taking him out. It's been foreshadowed the whole time.
Not the cup. All right, you guys want to talk about some Anakin and Ahsoka here? I mean, this is really the bulk of the episode. Well, Tommy, I want to touch on you first because I think you were a little worried about how they were going to handle this. I think you theorized that maybe Ahsoka could talk Anakin out. How did you feel about how they handled everything?
Well,
like the logistics of the whole thing.
I think it's still up in the air because is this the world between worlds, or is this her like when you're dying and you create your like how they say sometimes if you're in between death you create this like realm for yourself, and this is like the last place she was at when she was supposed to die. And so like in Rebels there was a whole thing, and so now I'm questioning, is it the world between worlds or was it a figment of her imagination? Is the time travel still a thing? To me, there's just more questions, but I'm okay with what they did here. I don't need the answers to those. I think regardless of what it means, what it doesn't mean, I think Ahsoka needed this and to like you said, live plus like create her own path. I think the conversations in this scene were more important than the logistics. So I guess I'm letting go of the logistics of it all.
Well, I do want to get Des and Jordan's take on this, but I think I know what's going on. I think if I had to guess, Anakin is dead, and that is why there can't be any back and forth, right? He's already experienced his life, and I feel like we see that with the flashes of Vader and like him in his different stages too. So I think it was more so like this is where the Force Ghosts hang out. I think. I don't know. I'm figuring out Star Wars.
Well, it's very lonely. There's no shuffleboard or anything for them to do in retirement.
Yeah. You guys have any takes on that?
I mean, this place, it definitely felt like some sort of purgatory, at the worst, like a place that they just, sort of hang out and loom. I don't know, but, there wasn't anybody else there. So I'm not sure if it just resembles whatever is most closely associated with that Jedi who passes on or whatever the case may be. But beyond that, like the stuff was really good. I really like seeing Anakin back here. I thought the conversations were great. And Hayden Christensen did really, really well in this episode. I think I'm liking this redeem tour that we're having for Hayden Christensen because we know the hate that he got in the prequel, sort of series era. But I like what they're doing here with him, and I just love that we mostly kept it towards Anakin. Of course, you get the flashes of Vader and all of those references, but really focusing it on him and his relationship with Ahsoka in those moments. I thought that stuff was executed really well.
And I don't think Hayden didn't voice Anakin in Clone Wars, right? Correct? So like has had no scenes like doing the Ahsoka thing, but I felt like picked up a lot of those mannerisms, the hey snips, like a lot, like obviously some of that dialogue, but the way he read it, I thought was really well done too.
Yeah, I believe I've seen some pictures, some older pictures that suggest that Hayden Christensen and Rosario Dawson have been friends. So there's that. I guess there's some sort of connection there already. But what about, okay, so we get Hayden Christensen back here. Of course, we have to do the rematch of the century with Kenobi. But here we are. They're like, let's do it. Let's see what happens when we put Anakin up against Ahsoka. Des, I'll let you lead on this one. What did you think about like their actual fight?
I thought it was fine. I think a lot of the combat that Ahsoka was doing was combat that we had seen her do in previous Star Wars iterations. To be honest, I know there was a lot of talk about the combat. Oh, the combat was this. I was like, what? The combat is fine to me because very biased here, but prequel trilogy / will always be my favorite combat. versus, of course, what we got in sequel trilogy. And this I don't know, it felt fine. It felt like what it should feel like, if that makes sense. It literally felt like Anakin versus Snips, and then I think that's what I got, just live action version. And I also like the concept of there was 2 fights. You know what I mean? It wasn't just one fight. It was the blue saber fight, right, that they had at the beginning, and then it was of course the red. Anakin turns to the red saber at the end there, and I really liked both. It was like a journey of what was going on in Ahsoka's world between worlds mind or whatever was happening, and I think everything made sense, and I thought the fight was decent.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I thought this was really fun. We also, I guess we can dive into like some of the kind of flashbacks that we get as well. What comes first? I guess there was it seemed like a nondescript Clone Wars battle that we get first. I think the big one for me, we get a little bit of Caesar Mandalore up in here. I thought that was really cool. What were some of the highlights in some of the flashbacks for you guys?
Shout
For
out to Rex.
me, yeah, that's same brain.
Shout out to Rex.
Yeah, Rex, and then is it the Death Watch helmets? We got to see a quick flash of that. That was really cool. So there was a part of me was like, I don't know, are we gonna see Maul? I guess the focus was supposed to be between her and Anakin, but we're there. So
yeah. Well, I think the focus has to be on Anakin. This is Tommy's Theory Corner. Welcome back. Come on in. Is there a possibility that Sabine? I know last week I pitched, Sabine's got a plan. She sided with them. It'll be fine. Is there a part that Sabine not fully goes bad, but breaks a little bad, and we get this like connection of Ahsoka was not able to save Anakin? That's something that probably, we've seen is something that she never forgives herself for. She left, was not there to bring him back. Is there a part that she gets to fulfill that with Sabine? Bring her back to the side of light, bring her side back to the side of the Jedi when she has this moment of weakness to get Ezra. Or it could be Ezra too, but I want to stick with the Sabine thing. I feel like dark Sabine could happen. Like a little, like not like full dark, but like maybe like put her toes in the water.
Well, it has kind of been hinted that Ahsoka is doing that herself, kind of for the most part, which I think makes them perfect, right? Is where like Sabine is, I'm going against all the rules, all the grain, and Ahsoka technically is doing the same thing in her own way. And so again, that's why I think it makes them perfect, master and Padawan is that exact thing. So I think that's not completely out of the realm of Sabine doing like something like where she dips her toes in something crazy, dark sidey ish. Because again, it feels like I forgot what the quote was, but Ahsoka was like, "I didn't exactly do that the Jedi way either." You know what I mean, kind of thing. So it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think Hu Yang kind of even mentioned it a couple of episodes ago. I think it was just about this non-traditional path that Ahsoka has walked, and I think that just kind of spills right down to Sabine as well. And so we might get some hints at them toying with that idea, but finding a way to like keep her off of the edge and bring her back. But I do like the concept too that just as history has progressed in this universe, the way the Jedi or become masters, it's dramatically changed, and nobody is really doing it in the traditional way as they used to, just because like things are in a different state, and so you kind of get to see just like the different paths that people have to walk, even though there's like tons of curves and pivots and all these different things, but somehow they always find their way back, or most of them find their way back, whether it's through like a path of redemption or they just have to discover it within themselves and forgive themselves and move on from something in the past. And so I think that those deeper sort of like philosophical things like that Sabine is also kind of going through, like we're seeing her wrestle with that, but hopefully she gets the right lesson at the end of it, and we see her come back to the light side.
Tommy, I don't hate this theory, I think I can put some closure on the theory, even because I think it's a perfect parallel to Ezra in Rebels, who also had to struggle with the dark side a little bit, and I think that he would be the perfect person to talk her back down if that happened.
Yeah, and there's too many things that it closes the door. It closes the wheel on, like I said, like the Anakin and Ahsoka thing. I think there's a lot. Star Wars loves to repeat, like history repeats. It loves to have patterns. It loves to have things like that. So, just radars out there. If we're on a little wheel, I'm gonna put it like it's still not at 50%. I feel good, but I don't have enough evidence yet. But we'll keep watching this this radar that I have going to see how far we go into this.
Oh man, I swear I had the Star Wars It Rhymes sound clip on here, but I can't find it now.
You could just do it yourself, like pretend that you are the sound clip.
It's like Star Wars It Rhymes, or I don't know what he said.
Perfect, nailed it. No notes.
That was my best George Lucas impression. Okay, what else? What else? Any other highlights, Tommy, from some of the flashbacks? And what about young Ahsoka? Obviously, I don't have the name on hand, but she played young Gamora as well.
Yeah, Ariana Greenblatt is her name. She was just in Barbie. I like when I saw her, I was like, wait, is that the same one that played Gamora? And I really had to look it up, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely her, just a few years older. Love it. Love that she's getting these checks, and she's basically, sort of finding this different, sort of bag and playing these younger, legendary, intergalactic people, whether it's Gamora or Ahsoka. But I love that she did really great here, because I think that we have so much young Ahsoka in the Clone Wars. Like we had such a relationship with that character for so long. To actually see somebody in live action bring that to life, like it felt true to who we saw Ahsoka be in that series. Like it didn't feel like this weird disconnect, because I think you could easily like cast or miscast the wrong person, and it's like, oh, that's not the Ahsoka I remember from that show. But she actually kind of nailed it for me.
Yeah, she actually she almost looks like the love child of Rosario Dawson and Ahsoka from the animated show. Like she has like the perfect nose, but also kind of has like the Rosario Dawson appearance. So like I thought she looked really great. Like the body language was down. Obviously no notes on the acting by any means. She did really great. It reminds me of a young child that I can't name, but there was that girl in Loki that played young Sylvie, who also played young Rey. So there's some other cross Disney franchise acting going on. So
yeah, I liked her kind of melancholy take on the war. Like when she's slicing through the legs and going, like that one move where she's sliding across, slicing against. It didn't feel like there was like, in a way it felt muted, and I liked that it felt muted. Like it's like she's this war, this being a soldier has almost, it's not fun. It's war.
Yeah, it's also like this. I don't know. Even though it was a flag, I don't know. It's what made it so cool. Again, it's now we have like Ahsoka with these different knowledge in a scenario that she had been before. It was young Ahsoka. It was like, dang, really sad about this. And when you Clone Wars, necessarily doesn't have any feedback or anything. In that moment, you're just like, man, she can really feel something different, I feel like, than she could feel before, because this being our Ahsoka that we know in the younger body, I thought was really good. Also, shout out to the makeup department. The headdress is crazy. Like you see like the little gems around that's way different from the Ahsoka we have now. I was just like, yeah, they were doing something. So shout out to the makeup department for sure.
Yeah. More shout out to the CGI crew, because I thought young Anakin looked great. I really didn't have much qualms with the CGI there.
Was it a lot of CGI? I mean, I feel like maybe
part of it's he didn't age that much, but yeah. Like he looks great. Let's be honest. We'd love to look like Hayden's grow up went, but
yeah. So another this is like, I don't know why I focus in on this so much, but when they finally rescue her, right? Jason gives them the location. They pull her up, and she wakes up. She's naked on the head. That kind of. We've never seen Ahsoka like that. I guess maybe when she was a child in Tales of the Jedi, but
yeah, I had to double check when I saw that. I was like, wait, something does not feel right here. Something is off, and I like stopped and looked, and I said, oh, she doesn't have the headpiece on, which I was, earlier in the season, I was looking like, oh wow, that headpiece that they put on her is like really, really good. Like it makes a lot of sense. But then you see here that they probably made a second variation to actually show that no, that's her head. There is no headpiece that she put on. Like that's actually her head. And so it was good makeup, but it definitely threw me off when I first saw it.
Yeah, we didn't touch on continuing with the Ahsoka and her outfits. At the beginning, you touched on the white. She did the classic trope of switching from gray to now wearing white. So I think that is like kind of her choosing the Jedi side a little bit more. Plus, it's like homage to Gandalf clearly gray to white. All of that in the hero trope. So I found that I like that change.
Hey, Tommy, I don't like that. You know why? And this is the same thing that I had a problem with earlier. I feel like they're reusing. We already had white Ahsoka, then she went back to gray, and now she's white again. It's
so
like,
you're saying she can't go back and forth? I have many outfits in my closet, Michael. Can I only wear one outfit all the time?
That's what Gandalf did. And actually,
He's
Tommy,
probably real
Dave
smelly
Filoni,
by the end of that journey.
Dave Filoni said this was a direct interpretation of the Gandalf thing. So this was directly ripped from Lord of the Rings.
So you hate it completely.
Well, she's not Ahsoka the White to me just yet. Okay, we'll get there.
Okay, she has to earn it.
Des and Jordan have no take on this probably, or do y'all? Prove me wrong, please.
No, it's one of those things where it's like you can see the Gandalf in there, but I hadn't really considered the back and forth. But now that you say it that way, I'm like, oh well, wait, she hasn't quite gotten there yet. Like she hasn't completed it yet to establish that white, sort of like level of wisdom, I guess. But it looked good. She looked really good in it, so I was like, okay, well, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I think I might have. There's a lightsaber behind me, and it low key might be a white lightsaber. But it it's something there. I think that I don't know. I think I agree. She's not Ahsoka the White yet. I do like that idea of like, but she's working her way to that. But that's what made this the end of the episode. Of course, we haven't got to it yet. But that's what made the end of the episode feel so like it's almost like an exhale of like, oh, there's a whole new chapter about to come, kind of thing, right? But the way she went about everything was just like, I see what you're doing here, or I see where you're going here. So it did feel like at least there was some merit to the white that was happening versus like, she's just white again. You know what I mean? It definitely felt like there was something there. So I don't know. It's interesting, especially given how, even though she still feels great to me. You know what I'm saying? Like she still doesn't feel like pure, hey, I'm like the most bright Jedi ever. It's just like, yeah, it still feels like there's something she's figuring out.
Yeah, we'll get her to kill Thrawn, and then once she puts the hood on, I think she's truly
Hood Ahsoka, please. Yeah. Yes.
Do you guys want to talk about some Purrgil? Because we got some wild stuff here, guys. I watched this with my mom, and I was just looking over, being like, I hope you're on board right now. Des, what did you think about kind of their scheme here to go find Ezra and Thrawn? And Sabine?
I think it was a cool little callback. Especially I feel like recently just media, movies, and TV shows haven't been using animals in the smartest way or like in the best way. I feel like me and Jordan talked about this, particularly with like the Harry Potter Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series. It's like, okay, but what are the point of the beast? Like, why are we here? And I feel like this is one of the moments I actually felt like somebody was using the beast for a reason. Like, of course, in Star Wars, of course, these mythical creatures would have information, and they do make a callback, to what who said that? I think was it Balin that talked about it. Somebody talked about the Purrgil here a couple episodes ago. But yes, they made a callback to it. And it was like, oh yeah, they would know where to go, and so they pulled up on the Purrgil, and I thought it made sense for the story. I liked how they looked. I like how everyone was scared of them. I like how they actually pulled a much Avatar: The Last Airbender. It felt like an Aang. Like they pulled like when Aang goes to see the lion turtle. That's what it felt like as Ahsoka was going to go see this big Purrgil in the middle of nowhere when Aang went to go see the lion turtle. So that's kind of the vibe that I picked up from that. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it looked really good too. I think that like the look of it by the end of that episode, like that whole sequence was like really, really well executed. Because I was wondering like how they were gonna like really factor into this, like when we saw them a couple of episodes ago, which was kind of a sight to see, like they come out of nowhere, but then like the way they deployed them here was like really, really clever. So I thought it was good. I thought it was like a cool scene, and it was a way to like obviously get us to the next step and go find Ezra and Thrawn and sort of get us to that place. And so it kind of made sense because we have been like on this particular like planet for like 2, maybe going on 3 episodes now. So I thought it was a good sort of choice to get them on to the next sort of adventure.
Tommy, how do we feel about the fact that we get into the whale here and Hu Yang's like, how do you know we're going in the right place? She goes, I don't.
Ahsoka has more faith than me. You will not catch me getting inside a Purrgil mouth. First of all, probably awful plaque, probably awful breath inside that whale mouth. So you ain't catching me inside that mouth. But no, I think it shows where Ahsoka's at in from her journey to the other side. I think she believes in the Force again. Like, she is fully bought in. Like, she doesn't know, but that's okay that she doesn't know where this is going. But no, I'm nowhere near that. I'm going back with the fleet. I'm going back getting in trouble.
It's just so wild to me, because I guess the whole point of Star Wars is, like, never tell me the odds, but the odds are you're not going to end up where where your friends are at. So I guess maybe this is a new Ahsoka the White, though. She has faith, so good for her.
I also want to shout out, I like the captain guy in this, where he's like, listen, I can't tell you the mission until it's done. Like, I like that back and forth. It was a good buying time. But also it was kind of, when he finally gave it up, it's like, we'll take your time. He's like, all right, you're not going to believe me though. Like, she's getting in a whale's mouth. Do you know how much plaque they have in that thing? Like,
more New Republic stuff here. Getting these guys trying to, mess up the mission. So, okay. Well, any predictions moving forward? I mean, is everything going to be hunky dory for Ahsoka? Is she going to just like stop right outside Ezra's house and all's good?
It's hard to tell, at some points. I mean, obviously we'll get Ezra and Thrawn. No hard predictions, but I think it'll just be clear that whatever happens next episode is going to catapult us into whatever that movie's going to be that Dave Filoni's doing, to combine, all of these different, I guess, like Mandoverse shows is what people are calling it at this point, New Republic, whatever that's going to be. I think that this is going to be like the first real signal in terms of like what that's going to be, because I feel like Thrawn is the obvious big bad of that film, for the entire galaxy at that point, because he's the heir to the Empire, essentially. And so they'll probably set that up. I do just hope that it's like enough time and equally as long as like this week's was, because I just wouldn't want us to rush through that, see him, then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you have to wait like another 3 years before any of this is going to be resolved.
Yeah, we need to get on that Filoni movie quick. I guess, yeah. Go ahead.
I think we get the focus maybe a little bit more, since we didn't get any Sabine this episode. I feel like we go back to them first, figure out what's been happening in Sabine land, and then, I don't know, maybe Ahsoka shows up mid to the end of the episode, or she, like, maybe it's like they keep cutting her, the whale's going through different galaxies. It's like, oh, wrong stop. Like, you're looking at the map in your car and you're like, oh, turn it upside down. Let's get back on track for a goal.
You get the like Indiana Jones like line across the map of,
yeah, just a little Purgle.
All right, guys. Well, Des and Jordan, thank you so much for talking about some Ahsoka with us. But I feel like I can't let up the opportunity to get some recommendations out of you guys before we end. Tommy, do you have a recommendation this week? I love throwing it to you first, and you're just
listen. Let me
look
around
your
my
room. Can I recommend this plant?
No, I mean, it's hard because I'm there's so much TV, and a lot of the TV I recommended on here is just what I keep watching. I'm in rinse and repeat. Our Harley Quinn animated series, still great. It's on season 4, I think. Great. Fiona and Cake for Adventure Time fans, amazing. Loving the journey. Really incredible show. Even if you haven't watched Adventure Time, I could see people might liking it because it's its own thing. But and then One Piece. I'm starting the anime because I watched the live action, loved it. So now I'm on the anime. So watch that stuff. If you haven't, check it out.
Tommy, I haven't watched anything besides like, the things that come on every week, but like I haven't seen a movie in like a month. So
I don't, well, because we're in Big Brother world, Michael. There's no letting up once you have 3 episodes a week.
Yeah. I'll throw it to Jordan first. Jordan, is there something you want to recommend to the audience?
Yeah. By the way, it's been a terribly slow month for movies. Like it's been bad. So I know the struggle. So I'm going to recommend a show. I just finished it. My Adventures with Superman, which has been on Adult Swim and now on Max. Really, really like it. I just finished it. And I thought that I thought that just the whole, sort of like new interpretation of Lois and Clark and Jimmy was just really, really well done. It's funny, genuinely funny stuff, very heartfelt. Like this is like weird to say because, we haven't really gotten it, I guess, cinematically, but this is how Superman should feel. And I think that this is like, I don't know if James Gunn is paying attention to this, but he's gonna do what he's gonna do. But this is like a great blueprint for what they could do for that movie. But overall, really, really solid show. So I would definitely recommend people check it out.
All right, Des, what about you?
Man, that was a great recommendation. I've been watching the same thing. I will recommend Jujutsu Kaisen. If you haven't been watching Jujutsu Kaisen, man, it's just one of those anime that it just feels good. It looks good. Everything about it is smart. You actually got to watch it. Is a lot going on into that anime, and it remains enjoyable week to week. I read the manga, so I know what's going to happen, and it's about to go down. So I think everyone who also reads the manga is pretty excited. I know people who don't read the manga who are still excited. So Jujutsu Kaisen is definitely one of my recommendations, man, for this week, along with my Adventure with Superman. I have to echo what Jordan said.
Tommy, I just thought of something I can recommend.
Do it.
I'm going to recommend, because I don't apparently watch TV or movies. I'm going to recommend Words with Friends, guys. It's still, I've been playing Words with Friends, and listen, I'm not good, but I'm not bad either. So if you want to play me, like, I'll give you a run for your money, but you'll probably still win. So hit me up if you want to play Words with Friends with me.
What are we in the 2010s? I feel
that was an ad. Did you get paid for that?
Hey guys, there's a new app that I just
hit me up, guys. Scrabble didn't go away. It's still a thing, okay?
No, you're right. It'd be like, all right, guys, hey, go out and play Clue. Great
Farmville.
Farmville. Oh man. Back in the day, Pawn Stars. Did you ever play Pawn Stars on Facebook?
No.
Oh man, you could barter with people. It was spicy stuff over on the Facebook apps.
Okay, fair enough. Jordan, Des, again, thank you guys for doing this. I'm going to give you guys a chance to tell people about your podcast, where they can find you, and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Thank you guys again for having us on. This was such a fun time. But you can find us everywhere on social media at Two Black Nerds, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that great stuff. We drop episodes usually on Tuesdays, so you can find us on all your podcast apps, including Apple and Spotify. And definitely be on the lookout very, very soon. We're going to be coming back with a special episode, so can't wait to get to that. And yeah, definitely hope people check us out.
Awesome. Anything else you guys are up to, like personally, that you guys want to talk about? I mean, I feel like y'all are always doing cool stuff.
No.
Man.
Humility.
Follow Studio Maho. Me and my friends made a black animation studio, which is really cool. We released a short to our flagship series, Got Punch, last month, which is really cool.
I knew y'all were hiding something. That's really cool.
Not hiding anything. And also, I have another Instagram page where I do cosplay photography, which is really cool. Really fun to go to different cons and do cosplay photography. So that's Delusional Cosplay. So yeah, those are two things that I have always kind of going on in the background.
Cool. Des, do you cosplay yourself though?
No, because if I do, the picture will be uncomfortable. Like I have to, I got to get angles. If I got on like something going on, you know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be able to take the picture how I need to take the picture. So usually I just wear like a nerd shirt.
Okay, fair enough. All right, guys. Thank you again for doing this. I'm going to close this out. I'd like to remind you guys to rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify, preferably 5 stars. Also, please subscribe because we're going to be here every single week with Ahsoka coverage. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Stark Wars Pod. And we also have a little Discord community going on. So if that's something you're interested in, you can hit us up and we will get you in there. But that is all we got for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next time.
Bye, 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 bye.